What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. Now, there isn't too much waffle apart from a huge thank you for spending some time out of your day to be here. It means the absolute world. Taking 20 minutes, listen to a story or two is absolutely crazy. And a bit of shameless promotion here. I'm 4 followers away on Twitter from 1,000. Hint, hint. And let's get started. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for stealing my sister's baby name? Throwaway, fake names, and all that jazz. Mindy is my fraternal twin, and I swear that her life has always been easy. I don't resent her for that, but she has expected things to almost always go her way. Mindy is pregnant with baby 3. She has 2 sons, Ryan and Dave, who were named after her husband's grandfather and father. She's having a girl and is ecstatic. They plan on keeping their name a secret until birth. After an awful year, my fiancée Amy surprised me with a cat. She had planned on surprising me over the holidays, but a lot of shelters were tapped out due to the pandemic adoptions. This shelter had named her Ellie, and I teared up because that was my nan's nickname. She died 2 years ago, and my life still feels empty without her. Ellie's sweet demeanour and loving spirit made me feel as if it were a gift sent by Nan herself. We decided to keep the name as it was a tribute to her, which Amy thought was sweet and that Ellie was perfect. I don't use social media much, but I decided to post a picture of Ellie snuggled up between Amy and I as a way to introduce our fur baby to the family. I wrote a small blurb about how fitting it is that she shares a name with Nan due to her sweetness, posted it and forgot about it after an hour or so. Mindy called me yesterday and started screaming at me for being a coward and ignoring her. Turns out she planned on naming her daughter Eileen after our Nan and having everyone call her Ellie. Apparently, she unleashed her fury on my private post and berated me for not responding later in the night. I was in no fucking mood and hung up on her instead of stooping to her level. She wouldn't stop calling me, so I texted her to chill the fuck out. Until then, I blocked her and her husband because he started on me after blocking her. When Amy came home, she showed me all the awful things that Mindy had texted her. I did my best to calm her down, and Amy went to take a hot bath. I called my mum. Sadly, I knew she wouldn't listen to me. She told me that she knows I was close to Nan, but the name is better suited for a baby. I told her that's ridiculous. She said Mindy is hormonal from the pregnancy and to be a good sister. I snapped and asked her where Mindy's compassion was when I learned that I could never carry my own child. I called her out crying that day and she brushed me off, saying that I was being overly dramatic. I asked her if she knew what a hysterectomy was. She went quiet. We didn't speak again until after I'd recovered from the surgery and tried to act like nothing happened. I still resent her for this. My mum told me to grow up, that this name was important to Mindy. I swung low and asked her where Mindy was when Nan died. In Vegas with her friends, even though she was told Nan wouldn't survive the weekend. Mindy wanted the name for glory. I love Nan and won't rename my fur baby. Mum called me a selfish little C, hung up and blocked me. I feel so crazy. Amy and my dad seem to be the only people on my side. Am I the arsehole? Now let's tackle the initial question straight away here. You didn't steal that name in the first place. I mean, you adopted a cat with that name. It came with that name. You didn't know because it sounded like your sister was keeping that name a secret in the first place. How the fuck was you meant to know any of this? You're definitely not the arsehole. And nobody owns a name. You can't just claim a name. But I could see, if you did know this beforehand and then you named the cat what she wanted to name her baby, it would cause some tension. She still doesn't own the name, but I think that would make you slightly more of an arsehole. But not the arsehole in this situation at all. And what a mum to call you that at the end there, right? Great. Jesus. But Darcy Knit says, not the arsehole. I would just tell them you changed the cat's name. Then don't. Just because it will make them think that they won and give you peace. Then when she's had the baby and names it Eileen, be sure to give her baby gifts that are cat themed along with a card saying how great it is that she named her baby after your cat. You may want to change your number for a little bit after that. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up overnight. Thanks everyone for all the awards. And Gay Dope Smoker says, not the arsehole. Why can't they both be named Ellie? They act as if the name is trademarked. And full number says not the arsehole. 1. You can't steal something you didn't know about. 2. The cat already had a name. 3. Your sister should have asked you nicely in private. If your sister already had announced the name and you decided to name the cat the same name, then yeah, I'd say it was a jerk move. But that obviously wasn't the case here. And Farron says, not the arsehole, and quotes, they plan on keeping their name a secret until birth. Then says, how could you steal a name you didn't know was taken? Your family needs to grow up. It's a cat name that you didn't pick but decided to keep. I don't think it will cause the kid any issues. And Obitadictor says, not the arsehole. 1. The cat came pre-named. 2. You didn't even know what name your sister was planning on using. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Now, our next story is called, Am I the arsehole for telling my husband to get over the fact that my parents call our daughter by a nickname? My husband and I have an 8-month-old daughter named Karina. We loved the name Karina from the get-go and decided on it before she was even conceived. Important context, my husband is white and I am Punjabi. I'm the only one of my siblings and cousins to have married a white person. My family is fine with it, but it's definitely a noteworthy thing because I'm the only one. This cousin is tall, this cousin loves to go hiking, this cousin married a white guy, lol. My parents fawn over my husband and my sister's husband because in Punjabi culture it's normal to flatter your daughter's husband. I guess in the olden days it was to make sure she didn't get returned to original owner. So my husband has always had a really positive relationship with my parents. When our daughter was born, immediately my family noted that Karina sounds close to the Punjabi name Kiran, so they jokingly called her Kiran and it stuck right away. It's not a joke anymore, they say it so naturally that it's legit her name to them. I never thought anything of it. All of my nieces and nephews have Punjabi names that we say with a Punjabi accent, even when we're speaking in English. Everyone on my side calls her Kiran exclusively. My husband noted a few months ago that he doesn't like it, but I told him I don't think it's a biggie. He said, we named her Karina, and I said okay, that's what 90% of the people in her life would call her. It's not like it's gonna cause some identity crisis. Yesterday, when my mum was visiting, my husband randomly says, I'm tired of you calling her by another name. She is our child, not yours. You need to respect that if you want to see her. If any of you are Punjabi or from another family-oriented ethnicity, you know that speaking to a parent figure like this is, oh my god no, like what the fuck? Stunned silence. My mum left immediately. She told my dad and he was pissed. He told my brothers and they were damn near seeing red. Again, for Punjabi, someone speaking like that to your mum is the epitome of fighting words. I told my husband 2 things. 1, he needs to get over the nickname. It's not that deep. It's not going to cause an identity crisis and there's no damn control to fight over. My parents see our daughter maybe twice a week and just play and spoil her, aka normal grandparent shit. 2, he can never ever speak to my parents like that. Any issue with them needs to go through me. I think we can salvage things from here, but if he ever said something like this again and it got back to my siblings, shit would go south real quick. He's mad that I'm not defending him or taking his side. I've listened as he's explained her birth name is Karina, that is our identity. We can't let other people change her name, and I legit don't see a valid point. Our daughter is lucky enough to have a huge family that want to spoil her. Why mess with that? And we're going to start with Blue Blom on this one saying, you're the arsehole. Imagine if this was the other way round. You have given her an Indian name and your husband's family and constantly westernized it and refused to call her with the original name. All hell would break loose. Racist would be heard in every sentence. How he doesn't respect your culture, yada yada yada. Well, that's exactly what you do. You also said your husband had to go through you and not speak to your parents like this. He actually did and you dismissed him. You're the arsehole again and again. And Smart Ass Mouth says, you're the arsehole. Your husband is raising a child concern just because it sounds the same. It is not the same. You are saying he doesn't have the right to express discomfort over a nickname they chose because they think it's close enough. Newsflash, this man is the father of the child you made together. He does have the right to say something about it and he doesn't have to go through you to talk to them. You don't even describe what the 2 names mean. And Engineering Own says, after reading all the comments I'm going with, you're the arsehole, because you don't seem to get it that it's not just your child. Your husband is fully allowed to have an opinion and he's allowed to voice that opinion. And then quotes, any issue with them needs to go through me. And then says, except he shared his issue with you and you did nothing, because you don't think it's a biggie. But he does, and he's allowed to. You want him to respect you and your family and their culture, but you aren't respecting him because it's a white person thing, I guess. And Lost in Thought says you're the arsehole. This one may be uncommon, but you can't say any issues he has with your parents has to go through you. When he tried going through you months ago and you dismissed his feelings, blew him off, and proceeded to make sure he knew he is in a lower rank than your family. While I agree that the nickname is harmless and part of your culture, and he is being ridiculous about it, him not liking it does not make him an arsehole. My culture and my husband's culture is very different, but the one thing we absolutely agree on is that as parents we absolutely overrule any choices made about our children. I know 100% that if there was an issue between his parents and their preferences about our kids, because it's their culture, that my husband is on my side every time. Multicultural relationships can be tricky and take a lot of work, but it's important to remember that there are two cultures in your marriage, and his is just as important as yours. Well said. So I personally think the wife in this one is 100% the arsehole. And I think there is a chance of it going, a tiny bit, very tiny mind you, because, he did try his best in this, of it going to an everyone sucks here. And it's the way he brought it out to the parents in the very end there. Sure, he just snapped, and I totally get that. And I'm not blaming him for it, don't get me wrong. But I think, that you could have went down a much more diplomatic route instead of just snapping and saying, oh, if you carry on doing that, you're not going to see my kids again. That it just seems like the nuclear option when there's probably a couple of other options you could have went down beforehand. And I might be wrong there, usually am, but that's what I'm going with anyway. But what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for calling my daughter petty for crying about not being mentioned in my award speech? In the area where I live, I've been a part of a professional association for 30 years, ever since I was 26. Every year there is an event where a number of awards are given out. This year the event was held over Zoom, and I was told that I've been nominated for the Lifetime Achievement Award. My daughter, 27, decides to get tickets. My ex-wife, 56, also bought tickets because my son, 16, wanted to be there. I was happy they decided to be there. I am obviously on speaking terms with my ex-wife because of our minor son, and the more, the merrier. My wife of a year, 30, and our son, 1, of course, were always going to be my guests, so they listened in. I honestly didn't expect to win and didn't want to jinx things by preparing a speech, but when the time came, they announced my name. I was ecstatic because this was the highest honour to be given. My wife and my son were hugging me and she kissed me on the cheek, so I started off my speech with that I was sitting here tonight with my beautiful wife and my wonderful son. I said I'd like to thank them for their support and owe everything I have and continue to do to them. After saying that, I didn't know how to add in anybody else, so I thanked the professional association and ended the speech. Yesterday, I was in therapy with my older kids and ex-wife, and my daughter was sullen the whole session and finally started railing against me for ignoring the three of them during my speech, and said that my ex-wife could have been just as successful as me in my profession, given how many ideas she's given me in helping me start my business, and that they were the ones dealing with my late nights and absences and being poor for many years. I explained to the three of them that I didn't know I would win, and that obviously was going to acknowledge the people who were currently besides me, and was tongue-tied. My daughter didn't seem to accept the explanation and continued crying. I finally told her at this point she's just being petty because of old grudges, and my son stood up and said, "Excuse us for being with you at the starting line." My ex-wife also started crying and the therapy session ended there. Am I the arsehole for thinking that 3 weeks is enough time to get over sour grapes over a simple speech? This is a sad one for me because it sounds like your old family, air quotes, was excited to be there, excited to come and attend and see you get this award, a Lifetime Achievement Award, and you've been part of this association for 30 years, so your family's been with you for the whole time, so of course they've supported you in it, and they are part of this achievement too, in my opinion anyway. And then you decided you're just going to bring up your new family because hey, why not? New life, new me, and you're moving on, and thank them for everything. When, again, air quotes, your old family has been there this entire time supporting you. So yes, of course they're going to be upset. Of course they're going to feel let down again by you. And of course you're going to be the arsehole. Think back on your career when you was first starting it and you went through all those hard times, because I'm damn sure you did. Most people do. And they were there. They were the ones supporting you through this. Your family. They even said it in this therapy session that you weren't there most of the time because you was doing this other thing. Well, they was being supportive of you. Your wife was looking after the kids and all this kind of thing. And you've let them down. This is on you, and I'm stood up again. But Outlandish Witch says, you're the arsehole. You said you owe everything to your current wife and small child. I'd say she's pretty justified, especially considering they're paid to be there. If I wasn't related to you and heard that, I think you had no other children. You may have been tongue-tied, but what you said was thoughtless and insensitive. And Engineering Own says, you're the arsehole. I'm not going to mention the fact that your new wife is 3 years older than your daughter. Oops. And like 26 younger than you. Oops again. But honestly, seems like someone, hint you, just want to show off his much younger bride. So instead of thanking the people that had been by your side for almost the entire time you'd been doing this job, the people who had stuck by you when times were tough, even when you weren't present, you chose to thank the person that, honestly, had done the least for you. Came to say, you're the arsehole of the day. And JBH says you're the arsehole, not just for failing to mention them, but far more so for failing to acknowledge the context of why they are so upset. I get it, you were caught on the spot. The cat got your tongue, as such your wife and son were right in front of you. It happens, but there is so much more to unpack here, and you're sweeping it completely under the rug, instead of listening and apologising. We'll start with the beautiful wife and wonderful son comment. It's a lifetime award. You're explicitly talking about what your 1-year-old son means to you, while completely omitting the 16-year-old son and 27-year-old daughter. They must have felt so forgotten and ignored. Highlighting one child over the other two is bad enough, but it's so much worse in the context of a Lifetime Achievement Award, where that child hasn't been on Earth for the vast majority of that life. Bluntly put, I think your daughter is also right about the fact that she, your 16-year-old son, and your ex-wife made the sacrifices that your current wife and baby son have not, and yet you credited your success to them. Starting a career or a business is incredibly hard and requires sacrifices in terms of time, money, and relationships. I assume that your new wife only came into the picture in the last few years. God knows how your ex-wife must have felt hearing that you owed it all to your new wife. Be aware of the broader context too. You are in therapy, for God's sake, so you know that there are problems in your relationship with them already, and it's already incredibly sensitive. You've left your wife, or she left you, I don't know, and shacked up with a young woman who is your daughter's age, and now have a baby. Of course your old family feels like they've been replaced. First you're punch drunk on love for someone who is your daughter's peer, and then you're reveling in new fatherhood again, for the first time in 16 years. Your daughter, son, and ex-wife feel forgotten, emotionally forgotten, but also that their support for you and your work has gone forgotten. You needed to listen to what they are saying, acknowledge it, take it on board, and apologise for what you didn't say. This is not sour grapes over a speech, this is resentment over a lifetime. Now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Ms. Rakeen. Would I be the arsehole if I bought my abusive ex's house? This morning I found out my ex's house is on sale. It wasn't a huge surprise because, well, I have heard he was having financial problems and he was never smart about money or anything else. This was a man who mentally abused me, kicked me out of the house and treated me like an utter shit. My life improved significantly after we broke up, but I tried to stay friends because I understood he was mentally ill and his behaviour wasn't always his fault. He owed me a bunch of money, and in 2018 he asked me for a year's time to get it together. I said yes. Time comes and he said he'd pay me €200 a month. He paid the first month and decided to start a fight with me on Twitter as a pretext to not continue to pay. I was hurt, but such is life. And today I saw his house is for sale. It's a great house, I always liked it, I always wanted one like it, and I can afford to buy it up front. And I looked at the pics and realised that holy hell, I want that house, because it would give me closure about the way he treated me, because well, it would mean the end of a bad cycle. But it's weird, right? I mean, it could be regarded as cheap and mean kicking someone when he's down, and we have common friends who may look down on me. Would I be the arsehole if I bought the house? Hell, it doesn't sound like you're just doing it to be malicious or anything like that. You just like the house. It's a property. It's an item. It's a purchase. So buy it if you really like it that much. Absolutely. And if the dude is smart, he would be happy that someone's just going to buy it up front like that. I think a quick sale. Absolutely. His goal in this is to sell it. You want to buy it. What's the issue? You shouldn't have any attachment to it after that, I think. However, it does give me some concerns, and I don't know whether I should be concerned about this or not. It's just stuff that goes through my head after I read a story, and I think, if he's been mentally abusive, would he ever go further? And obviously then he knows where you're living, so that might be a concern in itself. It shouldn't be a concern, I know, but would it worry you? And is it worth it? That's just what's going through my head right now. And of course, you shouldn't back down to these people, but at the same time, is it worth your worry? If I was in that situation, I would think, do I want that person to know where I'm living? Do I want to be watching my back if this person did worry you that much? I'm not sure if it does worry OP that much in the long run, but you know, it is a concern, right? But anyway, let's check out some of the comments to see what they say on this. Sport Ancient says, not the arsehole, but you should consider that taking this action may only spike the drama and entangle the two of you further. If you really want a clean break from his hold on you, you may want to consider finding a home that has nothing to do with him, legally or emotionally. And Blackberry Beetle says, not the arsehole, but you might want to think about this more. Are you sure living in this house won't be a constant reminder of him and the abuse? If you buy it, your ex will not only know where you live, but probably knows how to get in without a key. If you think it'll bring you closure, then go for it, but if I were in your shoes, living in my abuser's house would make me feel worse, not better. And RV Fulltime says, not the arsehole, go for it. If you have mutual friends who think ill of you, then they're not really your friends. Make other friends. And I Love Gru says, not the arsehole, buy it. Do you have any fears that he would know where you live and stop by it or damage the house? And Dislirio says, not the arsehole. You want the house because it's a nice house, not just because he owns it, right? I personally would discuss this with a therapist first, just to make sure you aren't projecting. Also talk with a realtor about what you need to do to make sure he doesn't see your name on any paperwork until after he decides who to sell it to. And Twas Brillig says, not the arsehole, but is it worth the risk? Would he retaliate? Would it constantly bring back bad memories? Think very long and hard before you do this. Now, what would you do in this situation if you was OP? Would you be worried about the ex being around the area, knowing where you live, or wouldn't that bother you in this situation? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories. And if you did, you know what to do. Of course you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And I had some people yesterday saying they're not getting notified again about YouTube videos. Apparently some people's subscriptions have been removed and lots of weird stuff going on. So if you are subscribed already, make sure you are. Check the bell, click it, and then there should be 3 options to notify you, like never, sometimes, or always. Up to you which you pick, but I just wanted to give you that advice at the same time. Thank you for being here, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.